Woohoo! I gotta fix this so that the sound fades out more quickly. Alright. More CS141 stuff about Scratch. Which is convenient because one of our cats is sitting here trying to get at the laptop as I record this. So I wanted to show off a couple of different Scratch projects and then go through the process of trying to build something in Scratch. This is actually John Dooley in the CS department. This is a project that he sort of put together for Scratch last year. It's one of these magic 8-ball things where you ask it a question and then you shake it up and tip it upside down and then it gives you some possible yes/no answers. Let's try this out. Ask your question and press space. Magic 8-ball. Am I awesome? Let's see. It bounces around. Better not to tell you now. Well, you really should tell me that, Magic 8-ball. Let's try this again. Outlook not so good. Okay, so it sort of has a set of yes/no answers that it goes ahead and rotates through, and it just kind of randomly picks one, and you can see that when you hit the space bar, it sort of bounces around, which is fairly cool. There's also this one here, this little piano. This is really cool. Look at that. It's like a piano, and when you press it, you can see that the piano key kind of changes color. That actually looks a little weird that it goes black to white, but whatever. And you can actually change the instrument. You know, you can... Awesome. Yeah, so you can tell I don't actually know a lot about music, but I'm trying to learn. And what's cool about these projects is you can actually, so these are all up on the Scratch website, scratch.mit.edu, so you can go ahead and look at these. Once you make an account, you can go ahead and check them out. If we click see inside, it'll actually show us all of the code that's in here, so you can see when that little start button is clicked, the 8-ball will say, ask your question and press space for 3 seconds, so it'll leave that little speech bubble up for 3 seconds. Now when the space key is pressed, here's what it's doing. It's going to play the bubble sound. It's going to glide around. So this is the glide, basically tells the sprite to move a bit. And then it's going to say any of answers. And then we can kind of look at what's answers. Well, answers is going to be data. Yeah, here we go. Answers. Yeah, and so if we click answers, we can sort of... Well, I guess we have to just sort of keep it on there. There we go. I can't move the cursor to point at it, but you can see answers is basically a list of a whole bunch of possible things, and it's gonna pick one of those. So that's what data is. It's basically a list. So it's a fairly simple amount of code that gives you kind of this neat magic 8-ball effect. So it's a cool project. And then the piano, if we kind of see inside this, it's put together basically the way you'd expect. Down here, you can see each of these is a different sprite. So each key is a sprite. Each of the sort of regular keys and then the sharps and flats are also sprites. And then down here, their names: C, C sharp, D, D sharp, and so on. So when you click on them, you can sort of see that it gets highlighted up there. What's interesting is if you look over here, each of these keys has its own set of code, right? So this A, when the sprite is clicked, switch costume to A2. I'll show you that in a second. Wait 0.1 seconds. Switch costume back to A1. That's what basically makes it, see how it flashes? You know, it changes color a little bit when you press it. That's the costuming. I'll show you that in a second. Sets the instrument to which instrument. That's a variable up here with the slider bar that lets you select it. There's a bunch of pre-programmed instrument sounds built into Scratch. And it plays note 69 for 0.5 beats. So if we look at, G sharp, that's actually note 68, G 67. So you can imagine that these notes are just in order with this C starting at 60. Now the costuming, all of these sprites actually have what are called costumes. So if we click on this, we can see it. Each of these sprites, they have their, D1 costume and then also a D2 costume, which is basically the same as the original costume, but it's sort of been colored a little bit. And then these just sort of have names. So when they receive an event, like this click event, you can actually tell it to change costumes to sort of simulate the idea that it's been pressed down. That's what it's actually doing, and you can see here this costume, and then, this is a little bit lazy, I guess, this costume here, but, whatever. It sort of looks like it's been pressed down. It kind of turns gray, so that totally works. And then I guess this doesn't have any customized sound. So that's what's happening with these scripts. You can see that each of these sprites has its own script over here. Script is sort of a general term often used in programming to represent code. So that's really all there is to it, to go ahead and create basically this lovely little keyboard. And then one cool thing, well, one of the many cool things about Scratch, I've been really impressed with the things I've learned about Scratch since I started on it. I guess it wasn't yesterday. I guess it was 2 days ago. If you click this well, I'm not signed in, but if you sign in and click the remix button, you can actually download the code and then make your own new version of it. So sort of like a remix, and then kind of release that out. So there's all these different versions of this basic keyboard that are remixes of it. There's some where you've got letters labeling all of the keys. You've got some with different instruments. You've got some where I don't know. There's a whole bunch of different possible remixes of this. I wonder if we can get the remixes. Well, there's some way to get the remixes. Oh, I bet if we go back to the... Oh, I haven't really made any useful changes. Yeah, here we go. Here's the remixes of this. So we've got one here that looks a little bit different, has more information up here. This looks like it's got, synthesizer sounds. This one here, you can use keys on your keyboard. So you've got your regular notes are just 1 through 8, and then your sharps and flats are just below them with QWERT. You've got this one's colored. This one's got other colors. This has got, I don't even know what that is. This has got the letters representing what each of the notes are on it. So there's all these different possible remixes. So it's a very kind of cool and creative thing. And if you're interested in how the remixing works, so if you look down here, this little, how it works legally, I should say, this little C, this looks like a copyright symbol, but instead of being a regular C, it's kind of facing backwards. That is means that it's copylefted as opposed to copyright. That's kind of a pun, but it's also a legal term, meaning that it's under a Creative Commons license rather than a regular copyright. So anything that you create and upload to Scratch is available for other people to create remixes of. So it's sort of allowing some amount of creativity for people to take your work and reinterpret it and create new versions of it, new remixes of it in different ways. And I wanted to show off this idea of a little piano and how a piano might work, because I'm toying with the idea of doing some music-related stuff later in the term, but I haven't quite figured out how to create an assignment that you can do in Java that will work reasonably. So, with a reasonable amount of work on your part and also on my part. So I need to work on that a little bit more. But anyway, so those were a couple things. So what I'm gonna do is, oh, I guess I need to. I wonder if I'm still logged in. This stuff is all from yes. No, I'm not. I gotta relog in. Wow. Well, you get to watch the exciting. Oh wow! I wonder if I even remember my password. I probably don't. Seriously? Remember how I just clicked sign in? There we go. Username. I've made myself SpackDog. And what is my password? How about this one? Yes, I got it on the first try. Do I want to remember it? Oh, fine, I'll remember it. Cool. Okay, so what I want to do here is create something of my own. I want to create a new project. And, okay, there we go. And what I want to do is make almost like a little clicker, like we're going to use in class, where you've got A through E that you can choose, and it's going to keep track of how many votes are made for each letter based on how many times you click the different buttons. And then there's a special button that'll go in and will clear everything. So that's the idea of what I'd like to put together. I'm actually going to get rid of the cat and add in some sprites of my own. So I'm going to click that little sprite add button, and I want letters. So let's start with A. Cool, we've got A, and we'll add B, and we'll also add C. Okay, so I can figure that much out. And I could do D, E, and whatever, but I'm just going to start with A, B, and C. And you can see down here as I click on each one, it kind of highlights it, and then I can set up scripts for each letter. So what I want to do is have like a list where I keep track of how many times you've clicked each letter. So in order to do that, I'm probably gonna need data, and I'm gonna make this a list. I could do it with separate variables for each one, but I want to do it with a list because that would be really cool. And this list will be for all sprites, right? I don't want the list to be like just for C. I want all sprites to have it, and I'm gonna call it. I guess I'll call it clicks. Okay, well that's fantastic. I don't quite know how lists work in Scratch. Plus clicks, number 1. I'll call this A. And I'll call this B, and I'll call this C. Great. Okay. Now when I click A, what I want it to do, so for A, when this sprite is clicked, now what's interesting, when this sprite is clicked, that's only for A, because if you look at B, this doesn't have any scripts yet. So this, when it says this, and when this sprite clicked, it means for whatever script you're currently working on. Each sprite has its own script. So when this sprite is clicked, I want it to adjust data. So I want it to, I guess it's a replace. Oh, here we go. Okay, so I actually don't really know how lists work. I mean, I know how lists work, like, in general in programming languages. I don't specifically know how lists work in Scratch, so you get to see me flail around not knowing what the hell I'm doing. So replace item 1 of clicks with thing. Well, I don't know. Let's see what that does, because I have no idea what it does. All right. So when the A sprite is clicked, we're going to replace item 1 of clicks with thing. Let's see what that does. Oh, yeah. Oh, well, there you go. It'll literally replace item 1 of clicks, clicks being the list, with the word thing. That's not what I want. What I want to be doing is keeping track of things. So this leads me to believe that what's going in positions 1, 2, and 3 shouldn't actually be the letters. That was stupid. I don't know what I was thinking. Should actually be counts. So I've got this sort of mapping. A corresponds to position 1, B corresponds to position 2, C corresponds to position 3, 0 is how many times they've been clicked. So what I want is when this sprite is clicked, in other words, when the A sprite is clicked, I want to replace item 1 of clicks with, not with thing, but with whatever was there previously plus 1. So this means that I need to be able to, let's try this. Item 1 of clicks. So I think this just gets item 1 of clicks. But I don't want it to be item 1 of clicks. I want it to be item 1 of clicks plus 1. So I guess what I need is an operator. Probably a plus operator. Yeah, let's see how these... And I think you have to always connect the left part of these to stuff. There we go. Item 1 of clicks plus 1. And... oh, crap. That's not how that... Okay. Item 1 of clicks plus... Nope. I guess I have to grab the green part. Yes, of course I do. Now, how does this go together? Is it... No. Okay, that looks good. So, when the A sprite is clicked, replace item 1 of clicks with whatever was in item 1 of clicks plus 1. Okay, let's see if that works. I am so freaking awesome. That totally works. Look at that. Ah! Okay, good. Now, basically I want this same thing for B and C, except instead of item 1, I want item 2 and item 3. So I want to copy-paste this from here over to B, because B and C don't have any scripts yet. Go. Go into B. Go into C. I would expect this to light up or something. Did that? Oh. That's weird. Wait. Okay. Click. Drag to C. Let go. That's really weird. You actually can copy-paste scripts into different sprites, but that's bizarre as far as what the... it doesn't highlight it or anything. You just sort of drag it over there and it just works. Okay, well, B script should not be item 1. This should be Oh, also not item last or item random. This should be item 2. This should be item 2. And C should be item 3. Oops, item 3. Great. Okay. See if this works. A, B, C, B. Wait a minute. Why is B changing both of them? Is that because I'm clicking B here, but A is selected down here? No, B is definitely changing both 1 and 2. Why is that? Oh! That's what's happening. Look at that. I remember how I dragged it over there twice? It dutifully pasted it twice. Hot dog. Oh, gosh. The cat is, my cat is, well, one of the 2 cats here. God, I hope I'm not still using these. Our cats are old. I don't want to be using these videos and mentioning the cats after they've, passed. God, what a sad thought. Okay, so, because you end up using these videos for years, and, like, you're referencing, like, events and stuff that happened years ago, and people are like, why are you talking about, whatever. So that's what's happening here, is I actually have 2 of these in here, and so I gotta get rid of this one. Now let's see what happens. That's much better. That was really cool. That was like a sort of a tricky little bug that I just found. I love finding bugs. It's one of my favorite things to do because, like a really good bug that's really like a pain to figure out, you actually learn a lot from that. So this is what we got, A, B, and C, and then we've got these clicks in here. Now the other thing that I want to do is I want to like be able to go in and clear these. I want to have a clear button that'll reset all of these to 0. How am I going to do that? I have no idea. I could do it like the sort of slow way. Well, first I need a clear button. So for that, we want to make a new sprite. But, no, we want to actually, like, make a sprite. What does this do? Paint new sprite. That's what I want. I want to make a new sprite and text. What do I like? Okay. Clear. No, I don't want to enter in there. Great. What is this? This looks like. How does this look? Okay, wait. Yeah, oh yeah, look at that. Okay, so I created the clear sprite and it's in here. This doesn't really look like a button though, does it? Can I put a outline around it? Rectangle. Oh, cool. Okay. Now it looks more like a button. Okay, good. So let's go back to scripts. Saving changes. Okay, so when I push clear, let's get an event here. When this sprite is clear, this is so cool. I would just want to reiterate that we did not have Scratch when I was a kid, and I wish we did. This would have been so fun to do when I was younger. I would have been doing this all throughout high school. I would have been. Oh man, this would have been because you can imagine the potential for building like games and stories and interactive fiction and all this other cool stuff. God, man, that would be fantastic. Okay. Anyway, back on task here. We got business to attend to. We need to get this clear button to work. So when this sprite is clicked, I want to reset all of these. Now I could do this like the slow way and just like replace everything with 0 or whatever 3 different times. But I'm thinking like, what if I want to have all the letters from A through Z? Plus I want to have Cyrillic characters and characters from Tolkien or something like that. So I have thousands of these. I don't want to. I want to basically what I'm getting at is I want to use a repeat. I want to use a loop. I don't want to like manually go and change each one of these because then if I add more letters, I have to go manually change everything, and that's kind of annoying. So I want a loop, which is a repeat. So we'll go repeat. And then what do we want to repeat? Well, how many times do we want to repeat it? Well, I could say 3, but then once I add a 4th thing, then I'm kind of stuck. So what I want to do is figure out, can I get the length of this list? I can. Length of clicks. So I want to repeat length of clicks times. And what do I want to repeat? Well, I want to set each thing to 0. So I actually, believe it or not, I'm pretty sure I need a counter. I need something to keep track of what position I'm at. I mean, you'll see this later when we start doing Java and when we start writing for loops, but basically what I'm doing is I'm creating a for loop. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make a variable. I actually just, I think, need it for this sprite. I don't think I need it for all sprites. I'm going to call it I. I is your standard name for a counter. And the first thing I want to do with I is I want to set it to 0. No, I actually want to set it to 1. And I want to do that before I start repeating. So initially I is 1, and I'm going to repeat length of clicks times, here we go. Let's drop this in there. Replace item, but not a specific item. I want to do item I. I guess I just drag this in here maybe. Replace item I of clicks with 0. Great. Okay, let's see. Oh, that's not going to work. I need to, well, I'll show you what that does, and I'll show you why it doesn't work. So, when it's clicked, well, great, it repeats 3 different times, but it's just replacing item 1. We can see this if we stick a pause in here. Where's the pauses? Yeah, let's put a wait in here, and we'll wait like 0.5 seconds. Let's try that. Ready? See, boom, boom, boom. You see that? It's actually just replacing 1. The reason being I need to add 1 to I, which I forgot to do. So, change I by 1. I think that's what that means. Change I by 1, I think, means add, 1 to I. If we said change I by -1, I guess it would subtract 1 from it. Let's see if that works. Look at that. That's awesome. Now, what's cool about this construct with this clear button, this will work no matter how many things are in clicks. Watch this. I'm going to add a new sprite. I'll go with letters. I'll call it D. Good. D, there we go. I've got D. I'll add 1 here. I'll set this to 0. I guess I want to change the order of these. Good. And then D, okay, I'll grab this for C. I'll drag it over here to D. For D, I want this to be, no, that's not, here we go, 4. Great. And let's see. Good. And the clear button will just work. Boom, 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 boom. Cool. Well, this is fantastic. So I've got this like little fake clicker thing where I can click these letters and it kind of keeps track of how many times each one's been clicked, and I can kind of look at it in this little list of all the variables. Can I make this smaller? Yes, I can. And then I got this clear button that clears all these things back down to 0. I'll call this fake clicker thing because it's a fake clicker thing. Great. I've also got this I sitting around. I don't really want... Can I like hide this or something? There we go, because I don't really want to see I. So I've got this little fake clicker device. So that's very exciting. And so this shows us we can use lists of variables. We can use I. Here we go. We got I being used as a counter variable so that we can like go through all the things in this list. This concept of iterating through things with like one of these loops and sort of touching each element and then like doing something to it. You do this in computing all the time. It's a very, very common operation. And then we got these little, when the sprite gets clicked, we're going to do different things. We can also do different things like this, like with A, when the sprite gets clicked, we could add 1 to it. But before we do that, we could, make it, yeah, we could hide it. And then we could replace it, and then we could show it, but we probably would need a little bit of time in between there, so we could put a very slight pause here, say. Make this like 0.2 seconds. So now when we hit this, yeah, it disappears very briefly. You know, because see up here, when I click on these other ones, it's not really very clear that I'm clicking on it, but with A, it's now clear that I'm clicking on it. You know, visually, I can see that it's been, you know, it's been pressed. So that, I don't know. There's a lot of really cool things we can do with Scratch. I mean, this is actually very, very, very powerful. I don't know. I'm impressed. I have to say I'm impressed. I only started learning Scratch this week because I was going to be teaching it. And I'm definitely impressed. It does a lot of really cool things. It's very powerful. It's very simple. It's kind of intuitive, the interface, the way things work. It's got everything keyed towards sprites, so it's very visual. And when you click on things and move things and touch things, it's generally fairly clear what's going on. This is not as close of a connection when we start doing Java programming. You can have errors that are much harder to kind of see what's going on. Now, we can still have errors in Scratch, and we kind of saw that. We had code hidden behind code. We sort of left some things out. We left out the incrementing of the I, so we weren't actually able to reset everything. So there's definitely still things you can do wrong in Scratch, but this little visual language of being able to connect together these neat little flowcharts, it's actually really, really cool and kind of very intuitive of what's happening. So when you start learning Java, which we're going to start learning, pretty much right after we do some stuff with Scratch, keep in your mind this type of control flow, these operators, these events, these types of loops, the sorts of things that are going on, and try to map the Java stuff back to Scratch, because I think that'll help you out, because these concepts in Scratch, these are the same in every programming language. Great. Well, the new QuickTime doesn't tell me how much time I've used. What if I click on this? Is that gonna? That doesn't help me at all. I gotta have a way to. Well, I just know I clicked this button to end. Anyway, thanks for listening, and we'll talk again soon.